Welcome or welcome back. My name is Yu Wing. You can call me Yu Win or Win, and I'm happy that we could come together whenever and wherever you are joining me. This is apparently day 71 of 90 in a 90-day challenge that I set forth randomly after being inspired by a video. And instead of overthinking what I would do, I did it without worrying about the outcome or figuring out what the method was going to be. And so it really was a challenge to speak my truth and share my story. And I am so grateful that you stopped in. If you have been working on or exploring ways to share your own voice or story, I hope that this is confirmation or a sign or whatever it is that you need to feel like you can take a step in that direction for yourself. I like to start each video sharing a practice or something that I do that helps me. And one of the things that I've done it for both my mind space and my heart space. And so sometimes what happens is I get overwhelmed by thoughts or overwhelmed by emotions. And so for me, I correlate or connect thoughts with my mind and then emotions with my heart. And so one time I just felt really inspired to imagine that, like my mind space, I just imagined it expanding. So, like, if my mind space was a room, I could sort of take down those like walls that can sometimes connect rooms and make it into like a big conference room. Kind of like that imagery, or just if there was a room that I was physically in, I just imagined the walls expanding. And so the multiple thoughts that I was having had more space and didn't feel cramped. And so I could feel less overwhelmed. And so then it was the same thing with emotions in my heart space. So, and I keep having this vision of a room with like windows and sort of like, I don't know what color wood that is, but there's some color wood, and it, it would expand to give the emotions I was experiencing more than enough room, right? Um, where it was not that they were isolated in there, but almost depending on like how intense I was feeling. And so this is something that I will do sometimes when there's not enough space in my headspace or my mind space and I need some help. So I just wanted to share that for your consideration. And if it doesn't land, just feel free to leave it here. But if it does, maybe you can explore and play around with it and make it your own. So, talking about space, I wanted to think a little bit about space um, in this video. I heard a reader, a channeler, um, share today. I think it was a video I saw from that was posted today, um, talking about if you show up empty, you make room to receive. And so that's definitely something that I have been coming across a lot in the last couple of years. Just this idea of, I've used the analogy of like a field with crops. Um, and let's say this is like my social network. Like I kind of like took out all of the crops that were there, and now I have all this land in front of me. And so I can be intentional about what I want to grow now or what still is around. Um, and so, space. Um, my social landscape is sparse, but I can choose, right? But then I'm also thinking like energetically, right? Like the practice that I was sharing with you, imagining like more mental space, more heart space. It's like, oh, when there is too much going on energetically for me, so this can be, if you identify as an empath, as a highly sensitive person, um, someone who has psychic or telepathic gifts, you may be constantly feeling other people's energy. And there's a lot going on. And it's almost, for me, this feeling of rarely ever feeling settled, right? Like if I think about water and if there's like dirt in the water, if you continue to agitate the water, the water will be murky. But if you allow it to stop being agitated, the water calms, and then the dirt sinks to the bottom, it clears up. Similar to, some of the mindfulness jars. If there's like glitter in the water, if you agitate it, the glitter is going to be everywhere. But when you allow it to calm down and just to find its own equilibrium, its own homeostasis, the glitter sinks to the bottom. So, energetically, I feel like there's always a lot going on. And so I'm really happy that I shared that practice because I was like, oh, I can also do that energetically. And I think I've been trying to discern more and more the last couple of weeks, like whose energy is whose, which, is a process in and of itself. But I feel like I need to create more space energetically so that I can allow in what I'm hoping for, what I'm dreaming about, what I desire or long for. And so it's it's a constant practice. Um, and I don't know if I've talked about this in other videos, but my spiritual mentor has shared with me how I can establish energetic boundaries or spiritual boundaries. So, for example, when we would go into hypnosis, she would tell me that, if there were other energies showing up, that I could tell those energies to leave, right? Things that weren't associated with me, spirits that weren't associated with me, I could say, please leave, you know, um, I wish you well, but please leave. She had also shared with me, like, before going to bed, I could also do that. I could set energetic boundaries. So I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I ask that only my spirit guides um, are part of, or, are present while I sleep. And I ask for any other entity, spirit to stay away from me, from my home. And so I think I'll be curious to see as I recommit to exploring this, like if I'll be able to sort of shut out other energies or if I just have to find a way to filter them quicker or alchemize them. Um, and so my hope is that if I can maintain an energetic equilibrium that doesn't get constantly bombarded by other people's energies physically in my vicinity or that's pulling on me, um, that I can create the space for what is ready to come into my field. Um, yeah, I'd be curious. I think my sense right now is that I'm ready to usher in a new timeline, a higher timeline, a different timeline. And I do feel like there's something kind of keeping it. fully from entering. So I want to try to create energetic space, and it may help me to also create mental space and heart space. Um, yeah. So just wanted to share that with you in the case you're somewhere similar or curious to explore space in a different way. And yeah, I also just I keep thinking about the a definition that I derived from Louise Hay talking about spirituality. This idea that spirituality is not separate from daily life or activities, but spirituality is how we live. And I really resonate with what she shared. And I've just been holding space for that to see if it will sprout. If I kind of plant these seeds of, okay, if it's just how I live, how might I show up and how might I choose to live in this moment? So I'm curious about that too. And I hope that you feel like you can explore and experiment with different practices or ideas or beliefs or um, energetic mm, alchemy or spiritual cooking or just to explore and experiment to know that there's no perfect way of doing this and there's definitely no one size fits all. And I really hope that you are building your trust in yourself and figuring this out. And yeah, I think I do believe that we each have to find our own way forward and, into our next steps. And sometimes it's nice to have mentors, and sometimes it's nice to have teachers and people we can learn from. But I hope that whatever information you're coming across, what you're also really developing is the trust in your intuition and in that voice inside of you that's saying, hey, I want to try this. Or, maybe next year I want to learn a new language. Or, maybe I want to volunteer. Or maybe I want to publish my book. Or maybe I want to start a podcast, or maybe I want to ask people how they're being loved on instead of how are you. Um, yeah, I really hope that you feel like you can navigate, choose your path, guide yourself, lead your parts, lead um, yourself through the phases and even if you're doing it scared or imperfectly or messily, that you're trying and you're doing it. So I believe in you. And I hope you have some fun along the way because I know as someone who takes things really seriously and overthinks and worries and is afraid, it makes the journey unfulfilling sometimes, if not a lot of the time, even though it's really about the journey. And I, I know it's hard to not focus on outcomes or results or, the end that you have in mind. But I'm just hoping that you are allowing for different possibilities, even if you have. once before decided that that should not be a possibility, maybe it's different this time around. So take what resonates and leave what lands. And also, I do hope that you allow in love and you allow in joy, especially during the end of this year. So if I get to connect with you again, amazing. And if I don't, I wish you well. And in either case, take good care. Okay, bye bye.